in the United States. There
months.
is absolutely no barrier to being outside of the country, even though what we train you to do, pretty much 100% of our training, is marketing to the U.S. market, just because it's, a very big and lucrative market. But you don't need to live there, and you don't need any special U.S. business setup. You don't need a U.S. bank. You can be pretty much anywhere, maybe not North Korea because of, banking sanctions and things like that. But you could be pretty much anywhere else in the world and run this business, okay? Which is, again, why we see so many people be successful with this. It really struck us when we picked 20 of our top students from last year's training program, and we flew them to Las Vegas for the day, actually for a couple of days, but we met with them for a whole day. And we wanted to understand, sort of what all the good things that they were doing and figure out what best practices were, and that's why we did it. But what we realized when we looked around the room, and we didn't do this on purpose, out of those 20 people, there were about 11 or 12 different countries represented, which is amazing. But again, it's just one of the other ways that I just love this business model. I think what you're going to tell when I talk about this business model is that I'm just so excited about it, because at every turn I get pleasantly surprised, and delighted with what I find. Normally you get some of that in a good business model, but you always find that, you turn the corner and you go, geez, that's great. I got to deal with that. I got to deal with this. And you just don't have those kind of things with this business model. So that's my argument. That's what I'm going to try and, the argument I'm going to try and make to you tonight. So let's break it down. Let's talk about these different pieces. Okay. Get a proven product. Well, so what are we talking about selling here in this business model? We're talking about physical products. And I'm certain that you've heard a lot about selling physical products online over the last few years, with good reason, because it's an outstanding business model. I can tell you that for many, many years, we have sold millions and millions of dollars online every year of physical products. We do it with 3 different business models, and the one you're going to hear about tonight is one of those 3, obviously, and it is the only one of those 3 that gets rid of the single biggest problem with selling physical products online for us, for everyone. And that is that you have to buy the inventory up front with the other business models. So, you've got to buy it up front. You've got to spend the money. You've got to deal with that supply chain. You've got to deal with warehousing. You've got to worry about running out of stock. But the biggest problem with having to buy the inventory up front is that you have to chase the cash flow. You got to put out money, and then it might take a really long time to get that money back to sell the stock, and then you have to reinvest, and you're constantly chasing the cash flow. That's what happens. So that's the downside of most physical product sale models. But again, the common theme here is that you're pleasantly surprised with this business model all the time, because not the case, okay? The other thing is that we don't have to work very hard to find products. It's not like in this model we're suggesting that you have to go invent something. You have to, create the next pet rock, and I'm probably aging myself because there's probably a ton of you who don't even remember what the hell the pet rock is, but, you don't have to invent a new, better mousetrap or anything like that. You don't have to come up with a great idea. What you have to do is just simply follow the plan. And there's tons of signals out there and market intelligence that already show you what sells. We already know what sells online, and that's all we're trying to do. Let's find stuff that already sells online that we can buy, that'll give us a good profit margin, that has a hungry audience, that's Facebook friendly, which you'll see why in a second. It's very, very straightforward to find products, because we already know what's going to sell, because it's already selling. And I know you're wondering, okay, well, I made a big deal out of this whole thing about you don't have to buy the inventory up front. How could we possibly do that? I promise you, once I show you the whole sort of, diagram about how we do this, we walk through this whole thing, it'll be very clear, okay? So that is finding the product. So now we've got to create a platform. And by that, again, we mean a website. So here is another place where other business models tend to bog people down. And they bog people down in one of 2 ways normally, or one of 3 ways sometimes. One is people just don't have like the design skills. Oh, geez, I got to like me. I can't draw a straight line, right? So I'm not going to be able to, create some design for a website. I just have no artistic ability. Or maybe I have a lack of technical skills. So I can't, install the websites. I don't know what a web server is. I don't know what, all that kind of stuff. So those two areas. And then the last one is, a lot of times business models call for very thick websites that have a lot of content. You've got to create massive amounts of articles and blog posts that have quality, unique content to capture people's attention and keep them on the site and all that kind of stuff. We don't have to do any of that, right? So again, this business model, you turn around and you see that you get rid of all of the typical problems, and it pleasantly surprises you, right? What we can do here is we have software. You just push a button, it installs like a skeleton of a site that's already got the design elements on there. You don't have to worry about colors and pictures and graphics and all that kind of good stuff. So you've got that, and then it allows you to pick the products that you're going after that you want to populate. You put them onto the site very easily. So it takes just minutes to do that. And then the other beauty is that we don't have to write all this content. What we're looking for is very, very simple websites that simply convert people who are already interested in buying the products into buying. Think about Amazon for a second. Amazon is probably one of the ugliest, most horrible websites ever built on the internet, in the history of the internet. And yet it is arguably the most, successful from a commerce perspective website ever built, right? That's because the design, that you don't have to create all these articles, you don't have to have a nice design. What you just simply have to have is the stuff that people want to buy. You're looking at things that are very simple to do. Here's a typical homepage of the kind of sites we're talking about. It has like 5 images on it, and 4 of those you get from your manufacturer, and 26 words. It has 8 prices. And then if you go out into a product page, those are very simple as well. Again, you're getting images from the manufacturer. You're getting maybe you had to think long and hard about a 7-word headline, come up with a couple prices, and the specifications. The length, the width, the weight, all that kind of stuff is usually just copy and paste right from the manufacturer's site. This is easy stuff, right? So you're talking about putting together a site that might have 5 or 6 products on it. Maybe that takes you, even if you're learning how to do it, maybe that takes you like 20 minutes. It's nothing, okay? So bottom line is, for products, it's cake, because we already know what's selling. We're just going to pick those. We don't have to invent new products. We don't have that roadblock in our way. And for websites, we don't have to worry about design. We don't have to worry about technical issues. And we don't have to worry about coming up with all this, unique content and thick content and worrying about all that and becoming Ernest Hemingway of the internet. Is this, guys, can you let me know, just to take a quick gut check here, is this a good pace? If you could just type in 1 if this is a good pace for everybody and that we're doing okay. Okay, good. Because we're about to get into traffic, which is, a big problem for most business models. So here we are. We've got something that we want to sell. We've got a place to sell it. And now we've got to send traffic to this place that we're selling our product. And this is the place where if they haven't fallen, if other business models haven't fallen down in the other 2 pieces of the other 2 components, they will fall down here, because traffic is usually the hardest. But once again, this business model has this, amazing surprise for us, and that is Facebook. Facebook is the single best place to get traffic for e-commerce that has ever been on the internet. It's the single best traffic source. And the reason is because we can get this holy grail of traffic, where we can get a ton of traffic, we can get it cheap, and it is highly converting traffic. All right, so there's a lot of commercial intent, and the traffic that comes to your site has a high level of conversion, where it converts into being buyers. And there's a whole bunch of reasons for that, and I'm going to try and make my case here for that. On this slide, there are 2 takeaways from this slide. Okay, the first is I want to introduce you to this concept of return on investment.